Hello, everyone. I'm your host of the podcast, The Millionaire Millennial. Today is February the 29th. It is actually technically the leap day of 2024. And right now, I think what most of you are probably most curious about if you're looking at the crypto markets, if we're just going to jump straight into it. By the way, my name is Stack Banks. I don't even know if I introduced myself on this episode. Is what's going on with Bitcoin. Today is going to be about Bitcoin, and we're going to touch a little bit on what is causing the price of it, if you've noticed it at all, to be skyrocketing, and it's nearing its all-time highs, and some factors that you should maybe think about if you're potentially looking to invest in it, or if it's just something that interests you and you're wondering what's going on with it. Maybe this will provide you just a bit of insight. Now, I have to say, first and foremost, nothing I say on this podcast or in this episode is meant to be taken as investment advice. I do not suggest that you do anything with your money without consulting a financial professional, specifically yours, your accountant, whoever that may be. This is not intended to be used in lieu of that. So please understand what it is that you're getting into before purchasing anything, and do your own research and due diligence. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin. So today, like I said, is February 29th, 2024. Bitcoin has been over the past, I'd say about 3 years since it had peaked in, I believe, 2021. I'm pulling up charts right now to look at the exact dates and times, but it had reached a high, what I had seen around close to 68,000. And that was back in 2021. Right now, as of 2024 February, it's sitting at $61,269. That's a 12:43 p.m. out Mountain Time, reporting that. So the actual price has fluctuated drastically. You guys remember maybe potentially back in 2020, crypto was expected to make a massive bull run, and it did. Bitcoin, I believe, had a price right around 19,000. It had spiked essentially up to about 58K, and that was right around this time in 2021. And the crypto markets were predicted to do fabulous, and people were talking about how Bitcoin's undervalued and it should hit 100,000 by the end of the year, and potentially onto a 250,000 or so by 2025, if not better. And then FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried, if you guys aren't familiar with that, essentially the largest Ponzi scheme in I believe human history, but at least in the crypto markets for sure, had happened, and essentially cratered the market. And people just backed out of the market and lost a lot of money. A lot of people were defrauded, and then the markets tanked all throughout into the summer, and then they made a brief rally going into the Christmas season, the holiday season, right around November of 2021. And then after that, they just fell. Brief rally back in about March of 2022. Things had looked optimistic, and then they just continued to crater. And then basically from July 2022 until October of, I would say, 2023, the markets were dead. Crypto was moving, not nearly as much as they had prior, back in 2020, off into 2021, almost into 2022. But eventually, right around October, November, we started seeing some resistance levels that were looking optimistic. And now, since then, Bitcoin has gone from being worth around $13,000 as of today to now being worth $61,000, which is a drastic price difference. I mean, anyone who got in at 13,000 right now, and if they're currently holding, good for them, but that's a profit if they wanted to exit today of $48,000. So you're talking around a 3.5% or 3.5x return, 300% return, something like that on your money, 350% return on your money, which there's not very many asset classes that are doing that, except for maybe NVIDIA stock. So let's real quick look at maybe some of the things that are potentially causing that, because the Bitcoin price has basically more than doubled over the course of the last 6 months. That's boosted Ethereum, XRP, bunch of other cryptocurrencies. I've seen Shiba Inu, Doge, a couple different what people like to call meme coins, showing some volatility and trending upwards. I think that's it, in part it's thanks it's to a lot of long-awaited Bitcoin exchange traded funds, the ETFs, all basically Wall Street gate crashing the crypto industry, and it's just creating a massive catalyst. And since its launch, specifically the BlackRock iBitcoin, I believe is what they call it, ETF, launched around 25 or $27 and then briefly dipped down to 24, and I believe now it's sitting somewhere around 36 or 38 bucks. And that's just the very beginning. I think that got approved mid-February, if I'm not mistaken, or end of January of 2024. And so you're already seeing 50%, price returns on those, depending where you got into the market at, with the ETFs. And that's not the only one. That's just case in point, a specific one that I know the numbers off the top of my head and can speak to. So you have the ETFs that's causing massive movement and what I believe correction in the market. And people are starting to see that they may have jumped out of the market at the wrong time, and that Bitcoin might potentially really be here to stay, and is the new future and wave of central DeFi finance, and just the financial system as the common man knows it, and its adoption. So there's been that, and then also there's been a new trove of emails that's just revealed a staggering amount of information about Bitcoin's mysterious creator, Satoshi Nakamoto. So the Bitcoin and crypto market is braced for this unprecedented institutional adoption, especially according to Bernstein analysts, who basically said that this is going to lead to a newer understanding of what Bitcoin is, what it was intended for. It's going to essentially clear the smoke and clear the room and clear a lot of discussion and a lot of the naysayers, because they will understand why it was created and what its intended use and case uses are, and therefore hopefully increase its adoption and essentially work to bolster consumer confidence. So there's that. And then also, for those of you who don't know, Bitcoin has a halving event coming up here, I believe in April, somewhere in there, some time frame in there of this year, 2024. What does that mean? Well, so those of you who aren't familiar with how Bitcoin works, Bitcoin is mined essentially. And I won't go into the details of what that means, but there's groups of people around the world that essentially work to mine Bitcoin, essentially by solving complex computational puzzles, to put it simply. And they're rewarded with Bitcoin, and per year a certain amount are released to people who are mining the Bitcoins. So I believe as of now, the yearly reward for Bitcoins is somewhere around $900 per year. After April, that amount is expected to go down to $450, or excuse me, 450 coins released per mining event, or per year, excuse me. So 900, to go from 900 coins released per year down to 450 coins released per year. I believe those are the numbers. And each halving event, we will get half the amount of coins. So therefore, it's increasing their scarcity, because they're expected to be about 21 million coins in total supply once Bitcoins are fully mined in about 100 years or so, roughly about 100 years, a little bit more than that, I believe, about 101 years. And each year, the amount that's released as a reward the amount is going to be halved. So the scarcity will bump up. You guys have to understand 19.9 million, I believe, Bitcoins have already been mined. And so getting to that 21 million number, there's only about a million left or so. So you're seeing the price bump up in Bitcoin. It's because of the scarcity. It's because of what people like to call hold on for dear life, diamond hands. There are people who have bought in at certain price points and are not willing to exit until, if ever, until essentially this coin moonshots. So thanks for listening, you guys. If you have any questions, please leave them on our Instagram. Follow along. We're going to be releasing content typically Monday and Fridays of every week, bi-weekly. Today, just something I had to get an episode out for you guys. I'm sorry if I didn't keep it under 20 minutes. I usually try to keep just, you know, your news that I feel you guys need 20 minutes or less. Sometimes it's not possible. I might run longer. I'm not sure if this episode is or isn't, but if it is, I apologize. If it isn't, great. But please follow our social media, the Millionaire Millennial podcast. We're releasing twice a week, and hopefully you guys find some value and information in this. I'm your host, Stack Banks, signing off.